Welcome to the Krypton Report podcast. It's me, Tyler. What's up, James? This is James Cole, the Superman of Red, my co-host. What's up?
Nah,
Giving the head nod.
just doing the head nod in an audio medium, yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, all right.
You know what's
bro.
up.
I'm
How's it
like,
going?
okay. Man, what a day. Let's see. First things first, I do want to apologize for not being able to do our live Saturday watch. I've been having some health issues and it just was not I wasn't able to do it. So and it's been a really rough week. The next thing is a public service announcement. We start in June, and June is still Men's Health Month. And I wanted to give a shout out to people to just check on your friends. Always remember to check on people. Their mental health can shift. As most people might know, like I work in child protective services, and I went into work today, and one of the kids, who's a teenager, on my caseload, he tried to commit suicide last night. And that was just kind of like really colored most of my day. So just, reach out, take care of each other. Other than that, we have a lot to talk about. So we're just going to kind of start to jump into things. And I'm going to I had this kind of organized, but it's gotten crazy because I got a lot more swept through off my organization.
A lot of stuff came out today.
Yeah. So let's start. But we got a new trailer for the Penguin, and the Penguin is coming in September. What did you think of the trailer?
It's kind of cool, the ideas behind it put forth, the picking up right after the flood, and Penguin trying to take over all of the organized crime. Just some of the things that they say and do. And we got Alberto in there, and Sophia.
Can we just talk about Sophia for a second? Like, please just go and look up what Sophia looked like in the comics, and then look at the actress. Like,
oh yeah, that's something else.
Sophia was a thick lady.
You want a comic accurate Sophia, you're gonna have to go. Wow.
Fan film.
You're gonna have to go. You're gonna have to go. The Long Halloween animated.
For real.
You know what I mean?
Like, that was a thick. I mean, but let's just throw it up. Like, yeah, like it would be cool if they would have got, like, honestly, body type wise, like someone like a Gina Carano. Not saying her exactly because she's supposed to be controversial. I know, whatever. I don't get into all that, but that body type, like a bigger, like, looks feminine but looks like buff too, like, because if you read Dark Victory. So, but the one thing about the Penguin is it is set in November, so it is right after everything because the Batman took place on Halloween and the first couple of days in November. But what I think is interesting is, like, the Penguin was all shot in New York, and of course the Batman was shot sound stages in Glasgow and then maybe some in New York. But I just think it's interesting because it's going to be this kind of blend of cities, and it'd been cool if they would have been able to just shoot in Glasgow for a little bit. But the next thing we got here, and I'm just going to have to say it like this: hell yeah. Kite Man, hell yeah, releases July 18th on Max. I'm happy about it just because I like, it's one of those things like we didn't forget about, but there wasn't any talk about, and then it's always nice when these things show up and you're like, oh, cool, and then you're like, oh, I don't have to wait that long. But this is also interesting. I took a quick
especially
screenshot.
to fill the void.
Lance Reddick's final TV series role is as Lex Luthor in Kite Man. And rest in peace, Lance Reddick. Yeah. Still has the best scene ever in that Netflix Resident Evil series.
Yeah.
One of the best scenes, just acts it. And I will recommend, I think it's in the pilot. It's either the pilot or the second episode. And I will say, just Google it, look it on YouTube. When his daughter gets in trouble at school and they're raising a fuss, and he sits down, and the way that he talks to them about, he says, how many, like, he talks to this guy and he's like, how many people can do your job? And he's like, I don't know, like a couple. He's like, let me tell you about me and my job. He's like, how many people can do my job for Umbrella? One. And that's
Just
me.
me.
So how do you think Umbrella is going to feel if I tell them I'm unhappy? And the next guy, the guy's like, tells his daughter, apologize.
Yeah.
Just apologize. Like, it is the best dad moment. And I mean, he's always been a great actor.
Oh
So
yeah, Lance Reddick is awesome. Yeah, it's I love that scene as well. Um,
I made Jania watch that scene. It's like
did
she had
you?
nothing about. She did not want to watch the show or nothing. But I was like, no, come here. I was like, Juju, you got to watch at least this one scene.
Oh
Um,
yeah, the show has its moments, but that's neither here nor there.
yeah, that's a different podcast. But rest in peace. Speaking of animation, we got a the logo, Batman Cape Crusader, a couple more images. Like here we got Thick Alfred and Batman. We have our announcement of who's playing Batman. Hamish Linklater. Um, I when I look at him, I think of him from Netflix is Midnight Mass because I've become a huge Mike Flanagan fan. But
Okay.
he has more stuff to his credit, and so they
Oh
released
yeah,
some of
he's
the
been in a lot. One of the last things I watched him in was Legion,
yeah
the FX show.
series yeah.
Yeah.
Um, some of the voice cast is Christina Ricci will be Catwoman. Diedrich Bader will be Two Face. So this is very exciting news, and
Well, we love Christina Ricci,
we
and
do.
she's done DC voices before, so that's really cool. And Diedrich Bader is, like DC animation royalty
Yeah, I always think
with his Brave and the Bold portrayal, and then how many others, countless others.
he
I mean, he's
also
he's Batman and Harley Quinn.
poor Schluck had to die. He's Steve Lombard, and the poor guy had to die in Shazam: Fury of the Gods. So we're sorry about that, Mr. Bader. We hate that they got rid of you. So as of this recording, we were going to record yesterday, but we didn't get to. Um, it is the 35th anniversary of Batman '89, and I just want to give plugs for other podcasts such as The Fire Rises and Holy Batcast, which are doing, really big stuff for Batman '89. We've talked about it. We've done commentaries for it. I went and saw it a couple years ago
Mm.
for Batman Day.
Yeah,
So
I saw their episodes drop in my feed.
we'll do a big thing next year though for Batman Forever. Oh look, there's Sayla, the awesome Sayla in her Superman shirt.
Oh yeah, Batman Forever.
Sayla's got her Superman.
I know she gave us some luck today, wearing her Superman shirt and carrying her Superman doll around all day.
Yep,
Got
we'll talk
some
about
got some big news.
this is like the third time, fourth time she's done something like that. Just channel the energy. She
Right.
also so, but
The force is
uh,
strong with her.
yeah. And now we're going to shift over to our good favorite thing called Superman, and we're going to talk about Superman and Lois. Now has a premiere date, October 17th, with a 2-hour premiere, which I guess will be episodes 1 and 2. So that kind of shifts our schedule just a little bit, but because I had mapped out our schedule, I told James I was kind of going crazy in mapping out a new format we're going to try in 2025. I'm kind of got some planning done to 2028. So, um, but there's some leeway
Big
there.
goals, big ambitions.
Yeah, I got a little carried away. But I told you it'd probably come out in October, just because that seems like when the CW always premieres stuff, and this would be the last show I ever watch with the CW attached to it.
I
Because after
mean,
this, there'll be
more
like
than likely, yeah.
there'll be no CW left. Um,
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it even changed names at some point.
oh, it probably will. I do want to give a shout out. I do not like the way that Apple has on their digital store changed. You can't pre-buy seasons anymore. It's really weird. Like I'll go on there to their store, but then it wants to link me to if I have the streaming service it's on. It's really confusing. I don't like it at all. It's convoluted. Oh,
Hmm.
so for anyone who didn't know, this is Selah's. It's mine. And yesterday, was it yesterday or day before?
Yesterday.
It was yesterday. She asked if I could take it off the wall and she could carry it around and sleep with it. And I said, sure. And she's been carrying it around and playing with it all day. She's had it everywhere she's went. So Selah has channeled some positive energy that we'll get to here in a minute. So good night, Selah.
Good night. And also, I'm wearing a Superman shirt.
Good night, Selah. It's awesome Superman shirt.
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay. And also, I have 3 Superman plushies. Make that 4 actually,
So
because that
Awesome.
like big one that looks
Oh,
like
yeah.
a classic and the small one,
Yep.
and then the one you bought me,
Mm-hmm.
and then this.
Get some sleep, beautiful.
Okay. Good night, Daddy.
The next big thing
Good night, Daddy.
is good night, baby. So they have arrived in Cleveland earlier in the week. They were putting up the Daily Planet globe above the building that would be the Daily Planet. And I think this was really cool.
It's got the revolving door.
This is in Cleveland. So after they film there, it will be somewhere we'll have to go and get pictures in front of together.
Oh, for sure.
And I do think it's interesting that Cleveland's like standing in for Metropolis. I mean, I know that Cleveland has in the past, they used it for one of the scenes in Spider-Man 3. I remember that came to Cleveland.
Yeah, I was gonna say that, to my knowledge, Cleveland does have a large downtown area.
It does. They shot a couple scenes in the Avengers, but I don't remember which scenes they were in Cleveland. And I just feel like it looks good. I like that, they're bringing Superman home in the sense of like really honoring Ohio, where Superman was created, especially in Cleveland itself. So I feel that Gunn is doing an amazing job with just honoring the legacy that way. I'm since they're in Cleveland filming, I'm half tempted. Like I'm looking to see if there's gonna be pictures of James Gunn and cast like in front of the Siegel House in the Schuster
That'd be
spot,
sweet.
or someone from the Schuster Society showing up, and meeting James Gunn or something, or something like that going on. Maybe when they wrap in Cleveland, but
Right. Well, yeah, with all this behind the scenes stuff, a lot of the stuff that is honoring a lot of the legacy and stuff of Superman, it is a lot of what you can see visually and what in the things that they're doing and the places that they're going. So, yeah, that is one of the things I'm excited for. That keeps me more excited during this whole production, during this whole wait.
So, without further ado, we will talk now as we bring about that they are in Cincinnati, or not, sorry, they'll be in Cincinnati next month. They are in Cleveland filming Superman, and today they were on set, and we got behind the scenes photos of a scene being filmed, and we got the best look at the suit. Now I'm showing these photos here. I wouldn't do this if it wasn't the fact that they are so widely available and they're being passed around on every site, and they're really clear. Like they're not even trying to hide spy photos. So these are some of the best images of Mr. Terrific and Superman. And our buddy Brad that we've worked with, we did recently. We did the episode with the trivia with. He's in Cleveland right now. He lives right near there, and he texted me and said he saw David, and David came walking out, but he had his robe on, and he saw Rachel. And this is a picture right here of Superman and Lois, as there's more photos that have come unearthed.
Right.
And one of the ones that has Rachel in it as Lois, I think could be considered a spoiler, so I would not share it. But and then there's this photo, which I think is our best look yet of the full body suit.
Basically, yeah. Yeah, that's a good one.
So before the episode started, everyone heard a clip of the children and Jania talking about the suit and everything. So now we're going to talk about it. James, I'll let you go first.
I mean, the biggest knock against the suit is the looseness, the wrinkles. I mean, the work he put in, the muscles that he has, it's not quite reflected in the suit. Which but that's the biggest attraction for me on the suit. Otherwise, I like the suit. The boots are pretty cool. We saw those. We talked about those last time. We got the trunks. And looks good. Like I said, I can take the trunks or leave them either way. I mean, he's Superman to me either way, with or without the trunks. I like the belt loops, the belt. I'm the square just looks classic. The lines and everything. I mean, the lines in the collar look New 52. Very
It really
reminiscent of that.
it really is a suit that has calls out to the New 52, All-Star Superman, Kingdom Come, which is why I'm wearing my Kingdom Come shirt, because it's the closest thing I have to his symbol. As soon as that shirt goes on sale, you better believe I'll be buying that. And I'm hoping they have one at Hot Topic, because I swear to God, Hot Topic always has the softest, like, best looking Superman shirts. My
Nice.
Superman Return shirt was stolen by my ex. I hope she rots in hell. Just for stealing that shirt.
Mia.
My Man of Steel one got ripped by the dog.
Oh no.
So I missed that one because it was like the chain link looking symbol, like his actual on his outfit. So I'm hoping that we get a good Superman shirt from there, because I'll order it from
Tragedy
there.
befall the house of Patrick. Oh,
I
no.
know.
That's horrible.
And I hope that superhero stuff gets one, because one of my favorite Superman t-shirts is a BVS one I ordered from superherostuff.com, and it actually looks better than the one I got from DC. I'm gonna be honest, I've not been happy with only one shirt I've ever bought from DC directly I actually thought was good, and that was a black one I got for Zack Snyder's Justice League that had just the yes.
I was gonna say, yeah, the Zack Snyder Justice League t-shirts I got from DC were really good. Darkseid, Superman, Wonder Woman.
So I look at this costume, and it looks like Superman. I've talked with Brian today. I really like in the natural lighting. Like, I like this picture just because, like I said, it's the full body we can see. But we jump back over to like this one, or even this one, like him in the natural lighting. Like this one here. Here we go.
Well,
the blue and the
the
blue and the red look great. Like, they're great shades of blue and of red. The cape is long, but it's not touching the ground. It looks like it's maybe an inch or two above the ground. It's not too wide. It really looks great. Like, this shot right here of him looks fantastic. The some of the bodysuit stuff does remind me a little bit of the Tyler Hoechlin suit. And the trunks remind me more of like short trunks, like they did in All Star.
Yeah.
Compared to being like just the brief. Like, if you go and you look at the Brandon Routh briefs, trunks from Superman Returns, they're very small and very Speedo like. And these look more like shorts trunks. And like you said, to me, I could take or leave them. I'm not a huge fan of trunks, period. I think they're outdated and they just can look awkward. But I think
I see them or I don't, and it's still Superman. You know
yeah,
what I mean?
exactly. The belt, Jania did not like the belt, and it looks fine, but I can see why. Like, it's big, but it's fine. The suit, as far as being loose and movement,
I like the size of the belt with the shorts style trunks. I think it actually looks good together that way.
We got the symbol on the back of the cape, and I made this comment earlier. as far as on film goes, we haven't had that since '84. We saw it on TV. So to have it back on the big screen after having the past two iterations not have it, I'm fine with it. I really like the way they did it in Krypton, where it was the black, more of the New 52 style of the black. I think that would have looked great, but they went with the gold on gold, which Sayla hates. It's hilarious. Um,
Oh, really?
and it looks kind of cool. The collar from behind looks cool here. Just giving that suit a look. Like here we can see the boots and everything, how they work and how they function. They look good. Like they look a little like some shots they look a little different. Like there compared to like this one where it's like a side view. They look a little bit more like a shoe. But the one thing is these are behind the scenes photos. And sometimes they'll make costumes set for different shots. And that's why I'm not really like there's about talking about how loose the costume is. It looks like an outfit. And I'm
Yeah, this
curious
that's
when we get more of like the production photos and see it on film because maybe this costume is a little loose because of a stunt or an action scene or he has to move. And then like if there's shots of like him standing still, there might be a more tight fitting costume. You know what I'm talking about? So that
oh
like
yeah.
it has a better pose. But like because it looks like they're filming like an action scene and stuff like that, um, his suit might be a little loose for him to move in, or there's some things for stunts because we all know that there's also stunt suits and things like that. We saw that with the Batman we talked about years ago. And what's funny is like people are poking fun at the suit because everyone. And I showed you a post, an adult film director who the comments where he had made like the parody films was poking fun at the suit too. And I just, I think it looks good and I like it. I still think it's interesting how much James Gunn's doing stuff so classic, like the suit itself is so not traditional, but yet it has traditional elements like the symbol on the back of the cape, the trunks, and then we have this version of this of the crest, you know, um, instead of being
Right,
more of a
like
traditional version.
and the new 52 style collar
It's
on it.
just it's so interesting because, but my thing is, I like the collar better than like the t-shirt neck. Like Tyler's suit has the t-shirt neck. Brandon Routh Superman Returns had the t-shirt neck. I'd prefer the collar over those. I was trying to see. I don't have any pictures saved. I can pull up right here at the moment. Um, but yeah, I like it better than the t-shirt neck style for a
Yeah,
suit.
no. Yeah, I'm really digging the suit. I mean, it is Superman. Um, like we're doing our new 52 Superman reading and everything. Um, so just to, see the suit very reminiscent of that in a way is really cool to see. Um, I mean, yeah, he looks Mr. Terrific looks fantastic. I mean, it
Yeah, he
looks
does.
straight like pulled right off the page. Um, so and it's funny how people go on and on about and throw so much shade towards the suit. Um, one, because it's not a specific person. Two, it's not a specific director. And then three, a lot of these people run in like the circles who talk about this kind of stuff. So they know that there's a lot of post production involved and that there are multiple suits for multiple uh, uses
I just
on a set for different shots. So, like, I don't just the way that people act like that's exactly how the suit's gonna look on screen.
mhm.
Like, it does have the high budget cost. It's not a CW show.
I'm just, my thing is let them shoot it and then we'll see what it looks like when, we actually see it in motion and action. And like I just kind of wish Gunn had put out another official image of him in the suit before we got all these behind the scenes photos to really kind of just like, hey, chill, everybody. you know, like here's what it looks like with because he knew everyone going into this. You can't. You're filming outside. You can't hide it. My last kind of thought to you is, people are talking about like the lines and all this on the suit, but my question is, it's about texture, right? Because if you don't have texture, it can come off looking like you either end up with like the leather suit look, and even leather has its own texture. But if it's just cloth, it can end up looking like tights. I mean, think
Yeah, like
even
Adam
Brandon
West,
Routh's,
like uh,
both of his suits have a texture to them. All the Cavill suits we know that have texture to them. So this style, whatever they're doing here, has a texture to give it a different look. So it doesn't just look like ordinary cloth and ordinary, tights. Because frankly, tights just, I mean, they are a literal translation from the comics, but at the same time, like you want your suit to look tough and real and not, um, I don't know, like you don't want it to look
it needs to
crappy.
stand up to what you're putting it through.
Yeah.
And a cheap pair, cheap pair of spandex, it's not your wrestling ring attire.
So, but that's all the news we had. That was a lot, just because, and we could have kept going, but we're not. Now, do you want to do the show or the comic? What do you want to do first?
I think normally we do the show first. Yeah.
My Adventures with Superman. Da-da-da. All right. My Adventures with Superman, episode 6, The Machine Who Would Be Empire. Doesn't it kind of make you sad? We're already at episode 6 of a 10-episode season.
Yeah. Thank
It's like
God we got a season 3 greenlit.
it feels like we're just getting going.
Like
Bust out my
his handy dandy
nope.
notebook.
Heck yeah. Thank you.
We are searching for Blue's Clues. We are no, oh sorry, wrong show.
Nope. We'll see it. All right. So, kidnapped and far from home, Superman bonds with his cousin Kara. He discovers the truth about the last days of Krypton from the last Kryptonian in existence. All right. The episode starts where he wakes up and he's in Kara's ship and he's like, "Where am I?" And what I thought was interesting was when he started talking about his helmet, and then the suit just forms a helmet.
Yeah.
And
there were actually some very interesting things about this show. I'll let you go ahead and keep going. And
no, I'm just
I got
like,
a couple too.
I have my notes here, but like we get Kara, okay, talking about Krypton, and later we learn that they're not her memories. Because remember, this Kara left at the same time Cal did. And we see Krypton and we see people on Krypton flying. And Jania goes, "They're not supposed to do that." I'm like, "No, they're not." I mean, in the original comic, they talked about like in the dailies and stuff, that the planet was a race of supermen.
Yeah.
And like we saw them running fast, but unless they're really pulling from that, that's something off, because the Kryptonians are supposed to be affected by the sun. Now, in this series, have we had direct correlation of him and the sun at all?
No, not particularly. He has not like flown up and charged from the sun or anything like that. The sunlight hasn't repaired any of his wounds or anything like that. So yeah, that's what I thought. That was one of my things that I noticed, that the fact that they are flying around, that they are using that idea of a race of super beings. Because that was always one of the things that I actually kind of considered with Superman is, we watch Smallville and everything, and he becomes human with a lot of things that happen to him. He becomes human. He's
Mm-hmm.
basically full on human. But a lot of most stories tell of Krypton, the gravity being harsher, the environment being more um, uh, a lot more dangerous, you know? So
Yeah.
the race of people who live on that planet are naturally stronger developed because it's just evolution. It's required for them to be that way. So that way, even on Earth, if Superman were to lose his powers, he's still superhuman. He's just not Superman.
Yeah. It's
You know what I mean?
oh yeah, I do. And that, that was one thing that I was like, oh, this is really interesting because um like I said, like uh I just really felt like I didn't know how and they're taking more liberties. I didn't know how I felt about it, but also like we learned a little bit later in the episode when he gets I wrote down how he said it, but he gets stronger when he wants to protect something. And that's where like the electric energy or whatever comes from the energy inside that
Yeah,
makes him
the
stronger.
change. Yeah.
Um, but we get the line dropped about Thanagar, and but one of the best things is Clark shows Kara memories of him playing baseball with his dad, and then they're going through her stuff, and he finds a picture of Jimmy Flamebird, the ruler of the planet, and he's like, "You like Jimmy?" She's like, "What? Nope." And her like cheeks get red.
She
Like it's
blushed hardcore.
I like it because we get to see that Kara really this is Kara. And as the episode goes, we see what kind of person Kara is. And um he takes her to she takes him to Thanagar, and we see um that what do you call it? In Thanagar,
It's basically in ruins.
it's in ruins, and Kara's going off like I don't what is this? I don't understand. When did this happen? Um and she is at a loss hardcore, and I like it because we're seeing, and as the episode goes on, we see like she has blackouts when basically Brainiac takes over her mind and uses her, and she starts having blackouts
Yeah,
and
when he
doesn't remember.
says that you will comply, her eyes go gray, and like Brainiac's in control.
Because we had a great shot later on in where we see Clark, and he's trying to basically um not comply with Brainiac, and then Brainiac says that to Kara, and then the next thing you know, Clark like wakes up, or Kara wakes up, and she's like, "What happened?" And we see that Clark was taken out. It was really good. So,
Yeah. Um it was a really cool episode, I like the name drops, the planets.
we get the uh a Green Lantern. We get a Parademon and a Thanagar warrior. They're all robots, but they're in those disguises.
Well, it's interesting because he says it's like so it's like their minds, like their consciousness, but completely enslaved and unable to um have any free will. And it's because it's like crying. The Green Lantern is crying
Yeah,
when uh when Brainiac is or when he's making when Brainiac is making him fight Superman. Um like that's all they're used for. It was very um it was very interesting, and like, I mean, sad, and he called it cruel because it is,
and I like how he's
like,
Primus Brainiac. He's a very
yeah.
different looking Brainiac.
um I mean, I like the Kryptonian computer again,
Yeah,
that idea is
he
still
was
a really solid idea.
he was a Krypton's AI.
um That's still a really solid idea. It's interesting about the things, I don't know, that he says and he talks about, because how he calls them cruel, how like that robotic consciousness has like thoughts or feelings, but no control. Is Does this Brainiac, since all of these planets have been conquered, does this Brainiac like take their knowledge and like store it in that sense, and not these like bottled cities of
Right.
stored knowledge and stored things, but he's like taken and downloaded and like made these things a part of him in a robotic way, but in this way, like, like the singularity kind of thing, like consciousness becoming machine.
Right. Because Kara does state that she's taking Clark back to Kandor. You know, so that's what Brainiac's calling his ship. Um, so I'm just saying, like, it was interesting because it wasn't a bottled city, and but because there's a line where Kara says, "I'm taking you to Father," and Clark says, "Zor-El," and she says, "Who's Zor-El?" And that really is what confirmed my whole theory about, like, oh, she doesn't know her past, her heritage, or anything. She's been raised by Brainiac.
Yep.
Um,
She's
so
been used by Brainiac.
and we find out all the memories that she has of Krypton, and as the memory's playing, you can tell like she's interacting with the memory, like you're watching a film and you're acting with the film. And she gave like nicknames to all the people there. It's kind of funny. She's like, I call this
Garden Citizen 1,
one.
Garden Citizen 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's interesting.
You can
But
see she wants real social interaction, and the only interaction she gets is with Brainiac, and all he is interested in is controlling her.
right. And she talks about all the planets thriving as the new Krypton Empire. She talks about bringing it back. She says that multiple times about bringing Krypton back, but she never really like, what does that mean? And then like at the end of the episode, she goes to all the planets that are supposed to be part of the Empire that she helped bring back and sees that they're all destroyed. And the episode at the end, she says, "What have I done?" And then as she says that, Lois and Jimmy come popping out of a portal with I can't remember the ape guy, his name.
Monsieur Mala?
Is it Monsieur
No.
Mala? Is it?
I thought he left.
But he was piloting it. So my thought is the next episode we get is going to show maybe a little bit more of how that happened.
They got to, because that's where it lost me. I was like, wait, I watched it twice and I'm like, okay, I didn't miss anything, right?
No, because the whole
Because
episode's
they just,
Kara and
yeah,
Clark, and it's
yeah.
just a great episode. And then they pop out the end, and she's like, Jimmy Flamebird?
Jimmy Flamebird. Love that.
And so I'm wondering in the next episode we'll see it, but her final episode or her final line is basically her like realizing she did all this bad stuff, and she's just floating in space, holding herself.
Yeah, you can talk about the space snowball fight.
They did so much cool stuff. Just like that was another thing where he has the helmet and she puts a helmet on and goes out there
And
and
she
starts
messes with him.
starts malfunctioning. And that's when you can see like she really wants interaction. She's alone. She's someone who grew up alone and by herself.
Yeah. Brainiac has no sense of humor. Brainiac has no compassion.
So you can
She's yearning for those things.
So and then she says, no, we're Kryptonian. We don't need this. So once again, that's different. Like they're operating with a little bit of a different power
Well,
set or something.
well, she's also operating under the idea of what Kryptonians are is what Brainiac says they are.
Mm-hmm.
You know, where I mean, yeah, they were probably conquerors and rulers and things like that. As it kind of seems, that they talked about like the conquering empire of Krypton and stuff, but they were like more or not still people with
Mm-hmm.
families. They had children, I'm sure they had emotions, and they had lives outside of, war. I mean, it wasn't constant war 24/7 on every planet around them or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even war has breaks.
So yeah, it was a really good episode to like kind of just look into and understand. And Sailor was a little bit better. You know, as they brought Kara back around.
Oh,
She
was
was a
she
little,
mad
oh, she was pissed last week.
when
I had
he
to make
when she kicked Superman's butt?
oh, just because she made her bad.
Yeah.
Like,
He woke up. You kidnapped me?
and it was their chemistry is great. So I look forward to more of that. And like I said, we're gonna be the next episode is episode 7.
That's crazy.
I'm just like, come on. But this is what Max updated the artwork to. Right here, Superman and Kara fighting. And I like that she still has the symbol. She has no idea who Zor-El is. And there's no like fortress or anything for Kal-El Clark to get back to show her like, hey, this is my dad, and this is information about who we are as a family. So
Right. Well, the fortress is there. He does have that fortress there, but what does he have access to? Because Jor-El disappeared. He said that so did everything, all the files get corrupted? I would assume if like the whole place like got corrupted or whatever by kryptonite, that it wouldn't have like turned into the floating fortress that it is. I
mhm,
think that some of it survived. You know what I mean? I
mhm.
don't think the kryptonite poisoning for the ship was like entire.
It's true. It's true.
So that
But
might be something we see further on in the future.
Jimmy Flamebird. Ah,
I
I
need
miss the
I need
Flamebird.
to I need to get a Jimmy Flamebird for like a message tone.
Superman Pez.
Awesome.
The only Pez there ever was. All right. So the next up on today's episode, we're going to continue Volume 4. All right.
Man,
Let
and
me
this
give you
was
an
longer.
overview. Huh?
I said, and this was a longer one than the last couple.
Yeah, maybe. Or it just felt
It's
that
200 pages.
Yeah, it was. Okay. So, the Queen of Hive, the holistically integrated viral equality, has placed the telepathic Dr. Hector Hammond's thoughts deep into the recesses of Superman's mind in an effort to control the Man of Steel. The merging of Hammond and the Superman's mind brings about vivid hallucinations that cause Superman to experience different realities and view longtime allies as potential threats. With the Man of Steel unable to tell what is real and what is a hallucination, it is up to Orion of the New Gods and Wonder Woman to release Hive's grip on Superman and save the universe from succumbing to the power of Hive. That's the description from the DC app. I do not feel like that's really what happened in this book.
It sounds like some of that might be from like the stories that go along with it.
So,
Because we jump into volume 4 and Superman is now dating Diana Prince. Superman is now dating Wonder Woman.
yeah, they've been dating for a little bit, and
So, but it wasn't in the last book.
right. And like we talked about we're going to be covering all these stories, but we're doing them by title as part of just the the whole, yeah, all
Yeah.
that fun stuff.
Well, so yeah, like you said, we're looking at them from just like a single line book at a time, where the New 52 presents its own problem for for some people anyways, is the fact that these stories um uh cross over with so many books. So to get the complete story, you need to read all of the stories involved. So I mean, like with my reading of New 52 Superman, when I read it back when the app was new and everything, was I read the issues up to an event, and then I jumped over and read, whose book was next, and I read that all the way up to the event and to the next issue, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I read all the super books like concurrently, like one issue, like one line up into the event, and then I filled in the gaps up to that event, and then same that's how I went through the event. So I had all of those chapters of the story in there because I had them all available to read like that. But if you were just buying like the Superman books or just the Superman action books, you'd still miss out on bits of the story from like Supergirl and Superboy and Superman and Wonder Woman.
Yeah, and we're going to cover a lot of that by through the rest of this year. We'll be hanging out in this era for a while, but I do find it funny that the Hive, okay, volume 4, and I don't. This is one thing I don't understand on the app. I'll be completely honest with you.
Yeah.
Is why not everything is collected into the volume trades when you go under volume, and why is it okay? For example, volume 5, if I go to it, it gives me the synopsis, but then says collects Superman number 25 through 31. Okay. So it tells you what issues we're looking at. If I go back to good old volume 3, we looked at, it says collects Superman number 0 and 13 through 19. But then when I read you directly what the volume 4 was, and it did not tell you the issues. And then volume 5 is the last volume they have until later so it ends. So the next volume we read will end at issue 31. And then we will read basically 32 through 39. So it's going to be interesting. So I don't understand why if they wrote everything for trades, why it's not like that. Because like you said, this trade that we just read, probably because it also had the annual in it and stuff, is a lot longer and bigger than some of the other stuff that we had done.
Right. Well, when you um like when you look at some of these books too, for when you look at some of these storylines for the New 52, they have books that collect the full storyline, that
Yeah,
have all the tie-ins and stuff.
but those are
So
like you have to search those out. Um,
yeah,
compared to just being
you
under
have
the
to go.
title.
Exactly. You have to do the event title to find that, because like Doomed is not um under the Superman,
Yeah.
um
It.
like in the volumes,
Mm-hmm.
like it's not there. I'm not sure.
I have it, and I looked at it. It's not even on the app. If you go to Superman Doomed, it's just the Doomed issue 1 and the Doomed issue like special that was the closure. It's very weird how it's not collected unless I just didn't find it when I was looking.
Really, because yeah, they have like issue 30 is Superman Doomed on there.
So
And
I feel like if you're doing digital collections, you should just group them easier to read, you know?
yeah,
So,
I mean,
but
we are talking about, tens of thousands of books.
yeah, but I mean, when you look at the New 52 and how it was designed, and like it was, it was coming out at a time that digital comics were becoming a thing, you know? So it's not too much removed the idea of making it like I understand for like older books or stuff, but like this era, it should be really simple to collect, you know. Um, but anyways, let's get into Psi War. I'm just going to ask you for that. How did you like this book?
Um, there were a lot of interesting bits to it. But this is uh even my second time reading through. I didn't remember a whole lot of it.
Hmm. I will say this: it is my second time. I, for the most part, I did not like this. It was hard to
No.
get into. I think this was, if I remember right, um, at this time, um, is when I think they were experimenting with having heroes work and go against other villains that weren't their villains. Because like it's Hector Hammond, and when you think Hector Hammond, what do you think of?
I mean, Green Lantern.
Exactly. So, um, it just I don't know. It was weird, and the Hive was like different, but I mean, they tied Hive back to Brainiac, and we find out about the 20, which were like 20 people that were basically given abilities from Brainiac, and we get Psycho Pirate, which I thought was cool. Like I thought that worked.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of cool to see, Psycho Pirate versus the Hive Queen versus Hector Hammond,
And
and
that's when it got
ultimately versus
When Psycho
Lois
Pirate
Lane.
showed up. Sorry, um, when Psycho Pirate showed up, I enjoyed it. That's when I felt the story was more interesting. But it was like a lot of the other stuff, like of just the Hive and Hector Hammond and stuff. I struggled reading it out, trying to get into it. Like I was not invested. But when we got to Psycho Pirate, I thought that was cool, and um the stuff with Lois Lane.
Yeah, because Lois Lane is in early, and then she's out for a while, and then she's back in again at the end. Um, and she was given the psychic powers from the senator, and then I must have missed it, or I'm not recalling exactly why she transformed, because she becomes like this like fully psychic being,
It's like
almost like a astral being.
it was when Superman was in trouble. Like she sent Superman was in trouble.
So she just kind of goodness prevailed in that aspect, instead of her head getting all big and warpy and green and killing her. She turned into a psionic rescuer.
But I thought it was cool, like having Lois part of it. And um, what do you call it? When the one shot they're talking about John and like sitting there, the way they drew him, he looked like Constantine. And I was like, wait, did I miss something? Did Constantine show up? Like I was like, oh no,
When did
that's Lois.
Lois start dating Constantine?
It
Yeah,
took me a second to realize that was Lois. Like at first, like it was just like it's like, oh wait, what's going on? And then I was like, oh, okay.
right. Well, we get that first issue of Lois doing her investigation. We get the 20, the history with Brainiac, and then she um but it opens saying this is going to be the last story I ever write, this and that, and there's nothing comes of it. Like, she's not in the hospital, she's not recovering, she's next thing we know, she's working again.
Yeah.
And we know that she went since Clark vacated the Daily Planet and the Superman beat, she has felt the need. She needed to get back to reporting. That's basically kind of all we get. Like, she
Yeah.
quit being a top producer and went back to being a reporter because that's what
And
she loves.
Clark is reporting for uh
Clark
how
Cat Clark
y-
Catropolis.
yeah, I was like I'm like, okay. All right. Um but it's a and I do like, okay, I will give them this. Um I do like that in this story they reference more of the friendship between Clark and Lois, and they really start drawing out that dynamic.
Yeah, saying that they are each other's best friend.
And I like that. And then
It is
like
nice to see Clark show up with Diana Prince. Clark show up with a date to a thing where he's not just like pining over Lois,
right, he
because it's
shows up
either
with
he's pining over Lois or back in Smallville he's pining over um,
Lois.
Lana
He's,
or Lois. Yeah.
what's his face?
Um,
He's always pining over Lois. It's
at
just,
least Smallville, a couple of times he had a girlfriend, but that's it. Like,
but yeah, I like I said, I just couldn't at times get into the Psi War. Like I don't like the Hector Hammond. The Hive was weird because it was neat, but it was so different than like the Hive that I'm used to. But at the same time, I'm not really that familiar with Hive.
I'm not that familiar with Hive or Queen Bee really, but I don't think that it's quite a bee's hive and she's all in honey and
Like,
bathing
yeah,
in
like
honey and stuff.
psychic
Like,
energy. It wasn't honey, it was psychic energy.
oh, okay,
Like that looked like honey.
gotcha.
So yeah, it was like, okay, we're just gonna leave that alone. Like,
Yeah,
but I just this is one that I just was kind of, huh. But I mean, there's cool stuff in it. Like we learn about Jimmy, his parents. At one point, Jimmy says, my parents are dead. And then later he says they're missing and he just inherited all their money.
right.
So
Yep, we learn that Jimmy's rich in this story.
yeah, which is, how do you feel about that?
Um, I mean, it's kind of just something that I'm familiar with from Jimmy nowadays. Is like, I don't know if he just like went off to do things on his own or if he just likes living, I don't know, modestly or what it
It's,
is.
I feel like it's something. Okay, I
I
don't
think it was
remember.
established at this point. I don't know if it was prior to the New 52
I don't
that Jimmy
remember in
had.
Smallville if when they talk about Jimmy's parents, if they had money or not, because everything was Jimmy trying to do it on his own, and he didn't want anything to do with his parents. You know, so I
Yeah,
don't remember if um I just don't remember like if they touched on that when the whole him and Chloe getting buried and his family and stuff. Um,
I know he said something about them, but I
there
don't
was
recall if it was like it
I just
wasn't
don't
like some sort of tragic abusive thing. I just
yeah
don't think that he was like close with his family or they were yeah, I don't know.
I just don't remember because
But they didn't
the
say
whole
anything about him being rich, but he also did buy the watchtower top of the building. I mean,
so yeah, but I mean he also remember was on drugs and needing money from Oliver to help him, and he needed a job, but it was really because he needed drugs. So I don't know, but I just the only thing with Jimmy being rich is
But that was
this.
Henry James. This is
Yeah.
Jimmy.
Oh, okay. Henry James, not James Bartholomew. Um, we know our comics love Bartholomew as a name. Anyways, I say a lot sometimes. It's been a long day.
The longer the
The
day, the more ums we say.
Yeah, the Jimmy being rich, I think of it from the comics here, and then at least in my adventures, he's Jimmy Flamebird. You know, he got his money from doing something,
Yeah.
and so that at least I feel like is something. But yeah,
Um,
I just couldn't. I feel like this story could almost take Superman out of it and just let it play out, and he's just there, like he's not. I don't know, really part of it, I
well,
guess,
I don't
but he
know. I
is.
mean, with the inclusion of Orion, and
Which was
like the
cool, and then
prophecy wall,
they hint at Wonder Woman and Orion knowing each other,
yeah,
and
having some form of history.
that made Clark uncomfortable.
I mean, he said, you don't have to make excuses or apologize to me or anything like that, um, or owe him anything an explanation. Um, but the idea that Superman is this massive threat, and where by being the massive threat, I think is through the idea of him being mind controlled
Mhm.
by like these psychic beings. So I think it was just some roundabout way to get to that. You know, why is Superman this huge threat? Well, because of these beings trying to control him and whatnot. So that was pretty cool. It was, it's interesting. It's always cool to see um, these Superman, these massive power level people, like Orion and Superman going up against one another, and like damn, like that hurt, when they hit
Mhm.
each other because they're not used to that kind of thing.
What did you think about the part where, like, he's fighting, Wonder Woman, and they realize that Hector Hammond is in his brain, and we see, like, the reality of the world where, like, it's Lana as his wife left, and she's, like, looking for him and looks almost like a zombie? That was just interesting how that I was trying to figure out what they're trying to say there. They're trying to stay like that was a real place they visited, or
Well, um, yeah, I'm not sure if that's what that was exactly, because like it's his wife. They did talk about like other worlds. I don't know if he was seeing other worlds or if it was just
yeah,
hallucinations. Um, because his parents were alive, and in the New 52, his parents died while he was out at prom in a car accident, and
dang
he
you,
left.
Dr. Manhattan.
Yeah, and he left. And that's where we get this this version of Superman who doesn't have anybody to talk to about the real things going on in his life.
Yeah. So it's gonna be interesting when we finally get to the end of this and we have our like wrap up discussion. But also in that I was gonna say like so when Psycho Pirate shows up and Psycho Pirate attacks and he and takes him back like through his memories, and like you have the one about like Jonathan and Martha saying they'd wish they never found him. That's pretty intense.
Yeah. That I was gonna say that too. That was one of the better issues in my opinion. Um,
They
kind
say
of
once Psycho
just going.
Pirate showed up.
Yeah, yeah. It went backwards. He kind of went back to his t-shirt and jeans kind of Superman. That's how he was dealing with some things there. When the military was like against him and everything, when the world was against somebody like him, because this is like 5 years in the future. Heck, at this point, it's the end of like the second year, so it's like 7 years into the future. I mean, I don't know if it was like chronologically the same. But then it goes back farther to Lana in Smallville. Um, even falls off the barn and is okay. Uh, and some bullies, and then even back to memory, like your earliest memory on Krypton.
And his earliest memory is like, and like, I thought the Medusa mask was just interesting with the idea of like the psychic energy snakes.
Yeah.
But all in all, like, there's some good artwork in here and things. But I did not dig this run. Now, I think we might have to do some extra reading in our next conversation, because these trades do not include the 0.3s or the specials.
Oh no.
Does not look like it. But anything else you want to wrap up from our conversation for today about the book, or about life in general, or the costume, or that Rachel Brosnahan as Lois is awesome looking because she has dark hair, black hair like she's supposed to, compared to Kate Bosworth and Amy Adams. That's right, I said it.
And her purple clothes.
Yeah. So yeah, she looks great. But all right. Anything
Yeah,
else?
I mean,
James, my friend.
I'm excited. I'm excited for the future of DC. We got some things to look forward to. I guess over the years I've always said I'm excited because I want more DC content, good DC content. I mean, there are varying levels of good.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think we've all experienced
I
very
still have not.
recently.
I have still not finished watching Doom Patrol.
Ooh, I just Doom Patrol. I just watched most of the fourth season. I've got like 4 more episodes.
Well, then
left.
you're right. You're right there where I'm at. Like,
Yeah.
I watched the first half when it premiered, and then ever since they did the next part, I just have struggled.
No, I just threw it back on while I was working at work, and I was listening to it. Glancing back, looking at having my phone there with me while I'm doing my work and everything, and just watching some of it. So when I got home, man, I threw it back on the TV. Like, I miss this show.
I just miss hearing Brendan Fraser yell profusely, but I won't tell
Yeah,
you.
saying WTF and it sounding hilarious and like accurate every time, because it means something different every time.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but yeah, all right. That's our episode. Everybody, thanks for hanging out with us here on Krypton Report. I am Tyler. This is James. You can find us online at Krypton Report Pod pretty much anywhere. Shoot us an email at kryptonreportpod@gmail.com. Let us know your thoughts. Let James know your thoughts while he fights crimes. And remember,